This is task 5, your simulated model with call procedures and sliders. And this is my actual model presentation. It should be about 2 minutes. Mine's going to be a little bit longer, but for you guys, it should be about 2 minutes. 1 minute for your background and information and setting up your baseline, and then another minute to tell me where exactly corona is in the population right now, today. So without further ado, put me on the clock. I'm going to shoot for 3 minutes. We'll see how it goes. All right. Hi, I'm Mr. Poggio, and this is my simulated model for coding corona. My population focus is the United States, with a total of 330 million people. Students, we studied wet markets, and I told you that this virus was serious, and to prepare to not be in school for the rest of the year and for e-learning the week of March 9th. Nancy, the mask you bought with the Red Ribbon Week door decorating contest for Halloween, the prize money, was truly foreshadowing. I guess you could say the same thing for my CDC Halloween costume. But this is a serious matter. This will define a generation and change humanity. Please understand that this is a simulated model and is speculative in nature, supported by Mr. Poggio's research. This is not what I want, nor am I an expert. I just think this is more than ever the time to science. So I coded 2 red or infected agents, which represents less than 1% of the population, to start. I believe that coronavirus was present even likely before 2020. However, January 19th, the New England Journal of Medicine reported a 35-year-old resident from Washington returned from Wuhan and tested positive. I also used 20 yellow or immune agents to start, as I believe the CCR5 mutation, or Delta 32, discovered by Dr. O'Brien from European descendants of plagues, or other similar genetic mutations, provide resistance to corona for 6% of the population. A natural human-embedded form of herd immunity. And the majority 302 blue dots or turtles or agents that you see represent the healthy in the United States. So I'll start my simulation. And remember, it's dating all the way back to January 1st, 2020. Transmission rates at a higher 50 to 60%. And that is going to be due at the start because most people didn't know about corona, and to the fact that the CDC did not advertise to the public to wear a mask until mid-March, close to 100 days after the introduction of the virus. Likely why around Easter, the number of the infected peaked. This is when social distancing and quarantine practices were implemented. This is why I will be lowering the transmission rate after the 100-day mark. As I suggested, that live virus and antibody testing was insufficient and that our infection rate was much higher, even as high as 7%. On May 2nd, New York antibody test results from labs came back with 12% of the test group that had the antibodies that will provide immunity from coronavirus, assuming it doesn't mutate. So, is it okay for that population to unquarantine? Remember, when I put you through my digital scavenger hunt to see the results of my antibody test a couple weeks ago, well, it was HIPAA approved. The only time I wish a medical result or a medical test came back positive. In that video, I also said that new medical practices will soon lower death rates. Last week, CNN reported putting corona ventilated patients on their stomach as increasing survival rates. Well, for this one, fair to say that I know a little bit more about ventilators and antibodies. My dad is a GBS survivor that spent 10 months on a vent and 6 months completely paralyzed with antibodies regrowing. I'll never forget when the pulmonologist looked at my dad in the eye and said he needed to be hooked up to this machine forever. But never underestimate the human spirit. And a little bit more on that later. So that was my task 5, where I ran my simulation for a short period of time. I gave the background, and I compared it to the numbers and proportion and the values of the United States. And I also told you a little bit about where I thought Corona was now. The next one, which is task 6, will be my complete model. So good luck. I hope that helped you guys out with task number 5.